if you don't fix the behavior, if you don't also fix the problems that were there that helped you gain this weight to begin with, then you're not fixing the problem. You're band-aiding the problem. And the same can be true when it comes to what our self-image and our own image of how we look.
Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Welcome to the show, friend. I have a new best friend, Chad, with me today. And Chad is here to help us with our fitness plan. Okay, I know, to me, fitness is a 4-letter word, and I'm changing the way we spell it, so it really is. But fitness sometimes is misunderstood or misrepresented because we look at ourselves as, if I was an athlete, I'd need to be training 30 hours a day, and I don't have that. Okay, nobody does. But it's the idea that we look at these things as this massiveness, and I don't have time for all that. So what can I do when I'm already busy, already feeling exhausted at the end of the day, but wanting to feel better tomorrow than I did today? So what is it that I can do today to help my, and I'm going to say health and fitness, just that overall body wellness of how I feel and how I get through the days. And so Chad, as our expert, is going to help us in this area. So Chad, as we start talking about busy, I have all the excuses in the world of I'm either too busy or too tired. It's one of the two, and I'm too tired because I was too busy before that. So how do I balance this? How do I get it in my life? But before you answer that, we're going to take a quick break, get a word from our sponsor, and we're going to come back and figure out how to fit fitness into my life. We'll be right back. Hey, since I rarely have openings in my coaching schedule, I have a new resource out there on my website. It is called the BFF Coaching Network. And I have offered a spot there for any coach that has been on the show to list the coaching. You can go out there, you can listen to their episodes, you can feel a little bit about them, and then choose a coach that will work for you. So LaraJaneLayton.com, the BFF Coaching Network. Okay, Chad, help me. The information about you is in the show notes, but as my new best friend, you need to help get me off the couch and motivated to do some more movement in my life. How do I do that?
Yeah, like you said, the I'm too busy excuse, the I'm too tired excuse, those are probably the top two excuses I don't think of them even as excuses. I think of them as obstacles. And excuse is just another obstacle we haven't overcome yet. So it's something that anyone can overcome, whatever excuse it is, but those are by far the top two. And most time in life, when the I'm too busy excuse pops up, you're trying to make fitness a part of your life, but you keep coming into these obstacles, these excuses. So that means it's not a lack of will. You're wanting to do it. You keep trying. You just keep running into this obstacle. And most time, the obstacle of I'm too busy, it shows up because we're still trying to do something that used to fit in our lives, but it doesn't fit anymore. So like me, for example, I've been a personal trainer now for 20 years in this Kansas City area. Over the 20 years, my life has changed a lot. And so fitness fits much differently now than when I first came up here as a personal trainer. When I first came up here to Kansas City, it was a career change for me. I was brand new to Kansas City. I lived right behind the gym I was training at. And I was a brand new trainer in a gym that already had 15 trainers. So I didn't have that many clients yet. And I didn't have a social life yet. So I lived right behind the gym too. So I worked out 2 hours a day, every day. I had all kinds of time. And I was in my early 20s. I was young. But that now, flash forward 20 years later in my career, I have my own business. I speak, I write, I'm married, I'm a homeowner. I have so many more responsibilities that would never fit in my life. And if I tried to force it to fit, the balance of everything else in my life, my relationship with my significant other, my career, my everything else would start to suffer. And so the golden rule is what you do for fitness has to fit in your life. That is the most powerful lesson I've learned in all the years I've been a fitness trainer. And it is the hardest, it sounds like common sense, it is the hardest one for us to grasp. Because as life changes, we go through life, we get our first job, we decide to start a family, we have kids, or we get promoted at work, or we might even go through, whether it's a good change or a bad change, all these changes that happen in life, whether they're good or bad, that is what throws us off course. And we're really good at adapting to those change when it comes to our family, our career, things like that. But when it comes to our fitness, we're terrible. Fitness always becomes the thing we're going to get to later. And that's what gets us into all this inconsistency. And then when we're ready to get fit again and where our desire to look and feel better reaches its peak, we always go back to what worked for us in the past. But that doesn't fit in our life anymore because we're a completely different person. The way to get through this is first just to figure out how fitness fits in your life you're living right now, not what you did before, because your life is different, and understanding that if it fits differently, if you're not doing the same. I don't work out 2 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week anymore. But I still work out regularly, but I've had to learn doing less does not make it less of a priority to me. My health is very important to me. It just fits differently now. And so it's a tough lesson to learn. And one, I hope when I come on to these interviews, I hope I can, within the time I have, can help people understand.
I really like it because you're definitely preaching to the person who needs to hear this.
Mhm.
I have every excuse to not go. Like, I have everything I need in my basement. Like, we have set it up. I don't even have to go anywhere. But I know that it's like going to the office or not going to the office. Some people feel better working at the office, and some people feel like they get more done working at home. And I'm going to guess that whether you go to the gym or not is that exact same thing. Can you do the same? We feed off of other people. And so if you're just going to your house and nobody else is motivated to work out at your house, who's going to get you down there? But if you drive to the gym, you have 30 other people in there working out to help motivate you. You don't even have to talk to them. Just knowing they're there feels motivating. So how do I balance if I don't even have time to go to the gym, but I need that motivation?
Yeah. Of course, I take people through just basically a cleanse and reset. And so
Okay.
that's kind of what I would like to talk about here today. And that'll help us with all those questions. But whenever you're trying to restart again and your goal is you want this to be lasting, you're not, you want to make this stick. This is going to be, I learned early in my fitness career, that most people come to a personal trainer fueled by short-term motivation, right? There's something coming up they want results for, and that's what's getting them to open that heavy door and get started. But if you don't ever focus on what's past it, then the results are just going to be temporary. Short-term motivation leads to short-term results. And so we want this to be a long-term thing in your life. And in order to do that, you have to understand how to reset every time your life changes. And so the cleanse and reset starts with a very simple question. What's your definition of fitness? It sounds crazy, but I actually learned this because I was on a podcast before and somebody asked me at the end of an interview, asked that question. And it just kind of stumped me because it seems like such a basic question, but it's not one I'd ever been asked on an interview before. What's the definition of fitness? And when I got done with the interview, I actually asked my wife the same question to see what she would say. What's the definition of fitness? And she pulled her phone out and she said, "Hey, Google, what's the definition of fitness?" Because it seems like it's that black and white of an answer. But I took a different approach and I just didn't answer. I refused to answer because I said, that's a question I can only answer for myself. Everyone has their own answer. That is where you have to start. What is your definition of fitness? And if that hits your ears weird like it did mine, another way to look at it is, what does fitness mean to you right now? So like you said earlier, there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to fitness. Fitness means something completely different for a lot of people. I mean, it could be like when I was in my early 20s, it was definitely more about being as strong as I could, being as lean, as ripped as I could be. But now, that's always important how you look to a certain point, but now it's so much more about how I feel at this point in my life, how I feel, how I handle my anxiety, my stress, how my energy is, my confidence. For some people, it might all be about weight loss. For some people, it might be about living life without pain, being able to be an active grandparent, or being able to If maybe their motivation is that they are having to take care of their parents now who they see their health slipping away, and they don't want that to be them in 30 more years. And so whatever it is that your definition of fitness is, your why, you have to reestablish it because our definition of fitness changes over time. And so every time you ask yourself that question, you may have a different answer, and that's fine. But that's where it starts. That's the first thing you have to do when you're ready to start a fitness program again. You're ready to get fitness in your life is answer, what does fitness mean to me right now? And so that is
And I
step one.
think a lot of us, if you were to say, what does fitness mean to you? And I hadn't really thought about it, I would think about some exercise routine that
Mhm.
would make my body stronger. But if I said, what do I need right now? What could I do right now that would make me healthier than I would have been without doing it? It
Yeah.
could be simply drinking a glass of water. Like I would have
Mhm.
been dehydrated. Now I can, or, instead of just walking to the restroom on my break, I'll take a walk around the block. What is it I can do right now? Because I got 10 minutes. What can I do?
Yeah.
And I think some of it is we in our brain think, unless I do the hour workout, then I'm not getting anything done and it's a waste of my time. And if we have that, you're always trying to set aside an hour and
Yeah.
you don't always find an hour. So, how do I find minutes and how can I
Yeah.
fill those minutes with something valuable?
Right. A lot of times that would be trying to force something that doesn't fit, right? Trying to find that hour you don't have. So to make this make a little bit more sense, there's two more parts to the cleanse. So first, it's what is your definition of fitness? What's fitness mean to you right now? And a good way to really dig deeper. So with everything, whether when we're setting goals, we're figuring out what our why is or why we're doing something, why we're making the sacrifices we are, our first answer is always vague. Right. It's like if I ask a client what their goals are and they say, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, that's a little too vague. Be a little more specific. I want to lose 20 pounds. And so you keep digging deeper and you get to the root of the question. So the first question is, what does fitness mean to you right now? And then the second and third part of it is, why is this important to you? And then the third part is kind of the vision board part of it, is if I followed this and I made this a part of my future, or if I made this my new identity, how will my life look different in the future? And so that is how you get yourself where fitness, the goal is, it's not just to get in shape. It shouldn't be just to get in shape or to look and feel better right now. It should be, this is an identity change. So I'm sure most people that are listening, you've been through a yo-yoing pattern in your fitness. All of us have, where you've lost weight or fitness has been a part of your life and only in spurts. You haven't got it to stick. And so you've lost weight, put it back on. You've gotten in great shape and fallen out of shape. And it's because you haven't been able to adjust to change. When change happens, and like I said, we adapt when it comes to our family and our career, but we don't in health. And that is what causes us to fall off track. So we have to learn whenever a life change happens, good or bad, how to adapt to it and reset how fitness fits in our life by asking, what's fitness mean to me right now? Why? And what will I gain if I stick to it? So that cleanse, so I always call it a cleanse because everyone loves to do cleanses. That was like the most popular thing for a while. And so I thought, and these are really important questions. How do I want everyone needs to answer these questions for themselves. How do I get them to do it? I'll call them a cleanse. And so this is just like a cleanse. This is getting rid of all the toxic thinking that your body doesn't need and replacing it with thinking that fits you better right now. But that what you said that, we have a tough time getting past the I'm too busy excuse is because we're trying to fit something that doesn't fit in our life anymore. And so that the fitness reset, that is the next part, figuring out what does fit. And so you can get it to fit in your life.
I have friends that love to go hiking every weekend. And if I just chose to do that, I'd be more welcomed on the trip, but I don't want to hold them back. So, how do I get from nothing to being able to join friends and family and doing some of the fun stuff? Like, I got to get started where other people are like, they have their fitness honed in, like I do these things and I stay fit. They're just like, I don't know. I would love to hang out with you, but do you want to just sit on the park bench?
So many people, I'm sure, just heard you say that and can relate to it. I hear it's a common thing that we joke about as trainers that we hear all the time. Like, I want to work out with you. I need a personal trainer, but I want to get in shape first. And then my wife is a financial planner and she'll hear, well, I need your help. I need to get more money organized. I need to get my money organized a little bit first. It's like you're getting yourself, the reason you're coming to me is to help you with this. You're almost ashamed of where you're at. And so there's this phrase in fitness I really like. It's like, I'm not where I want to be because I keep trying to start where I wish I was. So it's one of those, you got to say it a couple of times to really get it. But I'm not where I want to be because I keep trying to start where I wish I was. There's nothing wrong with where you're at, and you just have to scale up as you go. But you have to start where you are. You're not picking up where you left off back in the past. You're picking up where you are right now because your life is different right now. That is a tough thing sometimes. It's tough for me. Every time I used to be a college athlete. And so now every time the combine comes around, the draft comes around for football and every other professional sport, I used to be able to compare myself to those people. And now it's like, I can just remember what used to be. And so I have to be different about fitness is different now. But, I have fitness in my life still for the same reasons. And that's, to be able to be the best version of myself and show up to life as my best version. So that is that when you have a trouble with that, where you're starting from, then that's a good time to go back to why it's important. Why is this important? How will my life look different if I make it a priority right now?
And I know that at all these pieces, like there's so many important pieces to really claim your health, to really know that you're doing everything you can for your health. And we're in a world of, I was going to say duality, but it's way more than right, wrong. I have a brother that's a carnivore. He does not eat anything other than beef. That's it. I have a vegetarian sister. So you look at the differences and you can go from vegan to carnivore and there's nothing the same. And they both think they're doing what's healthy for them. And I am of the opinion they are. You don't have to do what Chad does. You don't have to do what Laura Jane does. You have to do what you can do, which is best for you. And if it's something that you can sustain. And so pick that thing that you think you can add to your life. I started having a lot of backaches. Just if I was standing around in a grocery line for too long, my back would just start to hurt. So what I've added is abdominal work. And guess what? You can do it anywhere. You can do it while you're driving. You can do it while you're laying in bed. If you are crunching and releasing and crunching and releasing, that's going to strengthen those muscles so your back doesn't hurt. That's my step one.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what is your step one? Can you do right now? And what does your body need? There might
Yeah.
be someone who just got out of a leg cast and needs to strengthen that leg because it's atrophied. There might be, so that we all have a different step one. How do we find that?
Yeah, well, it's like what you just said, and what you said is spot on. Fitness is not one size fits all, and that is the biggest way to tell a scam or to tell something that's not going to work and to avoid falling for something, doing something that's not going to work. If it's one size fits all, if everyone in the program is doing the exact same thing, where there be there's a lot of great programs out there, but if it's a 30-day challenge, a 6-week challenge, a 12-week challenge, whatever it is, and it's not customized to each individual person, everyone's doing the exact same thing. If it doesn't take into account your fitness level, your life, your lifestyle, your work schedule, your stress you may be under, what fitness injuries you've had, or your fitness history, or anything. If it doesn't take anything into account, everyone's just expected to do the same thing, get the same results, then it's not going to work. It's like figuring out what fits in your life. It's not just about figuring out what fits in your schedule and what you have time for. It's also about figuring out what fits you right now. And so that's spot on. And so, every time you ask yourself the question, every time you restart, what fits in your life, what fits you in your life as far as how much time you have, and what fits you in your life as far as what workouts to do may be different. Like my dad I've been training for 20 years. And so when you've done something this long, especially in a profession of helping people, it's really rewarding where you get to normally help a lot of your friends and family at a certain point. And my dad, I think, was my biggest supporter of everything in life, but he was the last one to let me train him, I think. And the biggest reason was he had this misconception about personal training. To him, when he thought of personal training, he thought of bodybuilding. And for him, being in his 70s at the time, that's not what personal training was for him at all. His was more about being able to keep all his range of motion and be able to do all his daily activities without pain and be able to keep his energy up and keep his flexibility up and things like that. And so it's different for everybody. And so that is one thing you have to do every time you start it. Just because what you did in the past gave you great results doesn't mean it's going to be the right thing for you right now or even fit in your life right now. So you have to first thing I would do is take a look at what you've been doing for fitness in the last 6 months, and take a look at that, and then take a look at your schedule. I write down your work schedule, write down your family schedule, because if you have multiple kids and they're all involved in activities, that's part of your parent schedule normally too. We normally want to be there for that, and so that takes up more of our time. If you have or anything you're a part of, just so I go through with people and I have them write down their work schedule, their family schedule, everything they have throughout the week. And then we look at the calendar and see, okay, what openings, how does fitness fit right now? And that helps us solve a lot of problems that you could be facing too. Like if you used to, here's a typical problem that I'll have with people that kind of hit a roadblock at a certain time where maybe they always worked out after work. And so but all of a sudden they'll hit this time where there's like, all of a sudden they keep talking themselves out of it and they go home. Like they don't have the energy to do it anymore. And it doesn't mean they don't want to be fit anymore. That has nothing to do with it, but it probably means, most of the time it means that their job is more stressful now and they're exhausted now. And they used to have energy after work to work out. Now they don't, because they're using all that energy up at work. And so that can happen, in seasons. You might have a busier time of year with work, or there might be a certain time of year where, your energy is being used up because of other stuff. Maybe you're nervous for your kids, you're nervous for your husband or your wife. There's something else going on that's taking up a lot of your energy. And sometimes it's just about setting yourself up for success. So maybe if you're not having any energy anymore at this time you used to, then you got to pick a different time where you'd have a better setup to success. You'd have more time, more energy to work out. And so, but once you start figuring out your schedule and taking a look at where fitness fits, it helps you figure out some of these other problems that you hadn't even realized were there.
I think one of the things you mentioned, and I know we've been talking for a while, but when I think of working out, I definitely in my brain have the mental image of it will create this body. This is what it's striving for. And it's not really a realistic image of a 50-year-old and what absolutely, there are some bodybuilders that are 50 years old that look fantastic. That's their life. That is what is their top priority. How do I be okay with just feeling healthy and not looking like I could be on stage in my half nakedness posing for people? It's like you have this one image. And in my personal opinion, that level of fitness is really not that healthy because of all the starvation you have to go through. And I think you overtax your body. And this is my opinion only. I don't, I think there's a happy medium where you can be lean and mean and not so cut.
Yeah. There's, when you have I've had several clients in my past that their goal is a weight loss. I helped a lot of people lose a lot of weight before. And I've heard of a lot of people doing research and stuff that I know a lot of people that have done a lap band surgery or gastric bypass surgeries. They've been saying to get faster results on this big weight loss and have gotten, of course, your percentage of getting results when you do a surgery like that is really high. But the golden rule is if you don't fix the behavior, if you don't also fix the problems that were there that helped you gain this weight to begin with, then you're not fixing the problem. You're band-aiding the problem. And the same can be true when it comes to what our self-image and our own image of how we look. If you're not happy, if you can't look in the mirror and be happy with where you are, then if you lose the weight and you didn't fix that problem, you're still not going to be happy with what you see in the mirror. And it's just a shame that we can't, if we put in the hard work and we got the results, then that should fix that problem too, but it just doesn't work that way. And so it's one of those things that takes, in my experience, it takes a lot of reps of, retraining, just like every exercise can, if you're doing it wrong, we can teach you how to do it right, but it takes a lot of practice. It's just like relearning thoughts take a lot of practice too. All thoughts can be relearned, but it takes some work. And so whether it be daily affirmations to yourself but I mean, that all can be relearned. You can change that image that you have of yourself, but that is something that is aside. That's not related as much to the weight loss as it is the mental, losing those. It's more of a loss of that bad self-image you have. But I mean, I do believe the better you take care of yourself, the better you make yourself feel, the easier it is to see what you want to see in the mirror too.
I love it because it is. Do you love that person?
Mhm.
There was a time in my life where I felt like my husband was less of a person because he didn't accept me unconditionally for my body weight. You have kids, and these are excuses. Like that, I can use them or I cannot use them. But you have life that hits you and you let it take over instead of keeping control of the reins. And I thought, if you really loved me, you would love me no matter what. And then I was listening to Esther Hicks, the Abraham tapes, if you're familiar with them. And one of the things that they said is, why do you expect someone else to love you unconditionally when you don't even love you
Yeah.
unconditionally? And it went in with this. From that day forward, I've been working more on my mental. Like, do I love me? Am I comfortable with who I am? Am I um, enough? They have all these bracelets, you're enough. Well, maybe I'm not yet, maybe I'm enough for this moment, but I want to be more. So where am I going? Having my plan. But all that said is 30 years later, I am more comfortable naked heavy than I was as a newly married wife skinny.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with what someone else wants to look like, but I feel more comfortable in my skin. That doesn't mean that's an excuse to stay not looking better, but it's that mental process. I now feel better mentally. Now, what is holding me back? And it's the aches and the pains and all those things that come with not taking care of yourself for so long. So, stepping in and going, I can do this.
Mhm.
And like I said, hiring someone like Chad or someone that can help you with your brain and help you love yourself more than your body, where you can get to the point where the body follows. And I know that I'm going to be healthier tomorrow than I am today because that's where I'm headed.
Mhm.
But sometimes you don't feel healthier. We get sick and we have to take time off or we get exhausted. And did you know? I know you do, but that's not the end. You
Yeah.
might be tired, but there's more tomorrow and there's more the next day, and you'll get back there.
No, it's sometimes, or it seems what always seems to happen to me. I'm in my 40s now, and so I'll go through more often. I'll go through periods of time where I'll have aches and pains to work through, or I'll have a physical therapy for a while for back pain or knee pain or shoulder pain, and it always tends to happen once you really fall in love with exercise to a point where you're enjoying your workouts. That's half the time that seems to be when an injury or something will show up to try to slow you down. But I mean, I think that is something that we get out of fitness that translates in the rest of our life too is, I mean, sometimes life is tough. And just like sometimes, even when your workouts are tough or when it's harder to want to do it or to go through the motions, and you still keep it a habit and keep it consistent, and you keep showing up and work through it. What seems like, always, if we're going through an injury, it seems like it's an eternity. But when we look back later, it's a small period of time that we go through that this actually slowed us down a little bit. But every time you don't let something stop you, whether it be a day you didn't want to work out because you didn't feel very good, or because you were just tired from all the stress you had at work, or you had a busy week, or whatever the reason, if you're bored with your workouts, the reason, those days when you do it anyway, all add up. And it's just like little wins that keep stacking your confidence higher and higher. And so that every time that you're wondering why you make the sacrifices and when you don't want to do it and you do it anyway, that's when it builds to long-term success. That is enjoying the journey. As Kobe Bryant would say in basketball, it's not about the rings. It's not about the championship. It's about embracing the process, enjoying the journey. And that is really what it means to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on other people. You're doing it to show up as the best version of yourself. So you're doing it so that part of it may be being able to see the beautiful person you are when you look in the mirror. Another part of it might just be to feel amazing all day long. And so you can show up, whether life is going good or bad, you can show up to it as the best version of yourself. That is the reason fitness needs to be a priority, and that we got to figure out how it fits and stop putting it off till later, because you're doing not only yourself, but all the people around you that you love a disservice because you're not able to show up as the best version of yourself.
And your best version today is a different version than your best version tomorrow. And it's a
Mhm.
roller coaster. It's up and down. And giving yourself that grace to have a down day is okay. And to
Yeah.
have a super energetic, amazing day is also okay. But they don't all have to be the same. But the routine is important. So, how do you make sure your clients, since you're going to do this anyway, say your clients as, what would be the word for it? Not as fit as you. How do you encourage them to find that one thing that can make a difference for them now?
Well, it's actually really not that hard. I mean, it's, you know, asking them what brought them in the door, and then keep digging deeper on that question. If you ask yourself what you would gain from exercise, and when I first wrote my book, the book I have, Make Fitness a Priority, when I first wrote it, my question I asked people were, what are your top priorities in life? And it was a poll question. I asked as many people as I could so I could get some direction for my book that I knew was about long-term fitness. And the top answers I got were family and career. And faith was a popular answer too, but nobody said health and fitness. And it's because we have this thing in our head when we're thinking about priorities, long-term, things like that, where fitness is always what we put off. And the big lesson that I try to teach everybody when I speak is that when we think about the most important things in our life, that is always what we make the top priority. And fitness is what we put off until later. But the reason I believe fitness is the vehicle that brings us to the best version of ourselves. It's like when we're taking good care of ourselves, when I'm taking good care of myself and I'm exercising regularly, I'm eating healthy, getting good sleep, doing all the things I know are important. I'm a better husband. I'm a better son. I'm a better friend. I'm better at my job to impact other people, everything. It just overflows into all areas of my life. And when I'm not taking care of myself, I think the opposite's true. It hurts my relationships. I'm often in a bad mood, which then can hurt my relationship. I get more depressed. I don't handle stress or anxiety as well. And it just hurts everything in my whole life. And so it doesn't matter how you answer the poll question. What are your top priorities in life? I don't believe you will be able to show up as the best version of yourself if fitness is not a part of your life too. And so just helping people dig deep of what is important to their life, and then helping them realize, well, if this is important to your life, this needs to be important to your life too. If you want to be the best version of yourself for this, fitness has got to be a part of your life. You got to take care of yourself. You got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first so you can show up as the best version of yourself.
I love it. And I'm thinking, myself is different than yourself. So we're all going to have this special, unique plan and knowing that first step. And that's coming up with what am I going to do? Maybe I'm going to hire a coach. Maybe I'm just going to make sure I drink more water for a little bit. Maybe I'm going to make whatever it is. We all have these silly watches on our phones that track every step we take as long as you put them on. That if your goal is just one more step today than yesterday, that's a goal. And you can do that like, oh, I'm 10 steps behind. I can do 11 right now. You can do it if you have a foundation, a measurement, but you got to know what that is. I had a coworker that has dumbbells at his desk, and I sat right next to him, and it was the most annoying thing in the middle of the day with him going, you know, but he didn't care. He
Yeah.
was more aware of keeping his biceps strong, could be something else somewhere else, but that was so important to him. He was okay doing it at the office. And I want to find something so important to me. I don't care what you think. I don't care if someone else thinks I'm being weird. It's okay. And that's one of those things, that mental thing. We all feel judged. We all feel watched. We all feel like, so what? I had a lady at standing in a pharmacy line that was so ashamed of her body that she's telling the world, everybody that's walking up, this medication I'm on is making me fat. This medications I'm on making me fat. Nobody else cared what size her body was, but she wanted everybody to know it wasn't her. It was her medication.
Yeah.
And it's like, I felt bad for her that she had such an image problem with it that she had to share it. And that's okay. It's okay to share it. I'm telling you it's not, but I felt bad that it was such a shame point for her. Not that she was
Yeah.
sharing it, but what is our shame point and how do we get over it? So we're okay with going halfway. Like it's okay just to get 2 more steps today than yesterday.
Yeah. Well, and just I think knowing that, there's going to be good days and bad days. Every day is not going to be a great day. There's going to be, no matter whether it's a fitness goal or a goal with your job or a personal goal you have. I mean, if you've ever done something before that took you a long time to reach your goal, then it wasn't a smooth ride all the way there. It was probably 2 steps forward, 1 step back, pretty much the whole way. And a fitness goal is really the same way. There's going to be days where you feel really strong and you got tons of energy and you enjoyed your workout. And just like that, there's going to be days where you didn't want to do it and the workout hurt. You didn't seem to have any energy for it. You didn't feel like you were strong that day. And there's no explanation for it. It's just the way it's just part of the journey. And the best thing is you just have to embrace it and know that, every bad day, get through it. You're closer to that next really good day, and you just got to give it all you have when you have those good days.
And I'd be your biggest cheerleader if you did it today and you didn't feel like it, but you did it anyway. That is like amazing. Because if you're in the routine, you already have it all done. It's not that, it's routine. It's amazing that you did it to start with, but now you love it and it's not going to change. But it's in that transition period where, yay, you did it. That is so awesome. And I think we can all use cheerleaders. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's really important to have a support team with this. And then not only a support team, but it's one thing to be supportive, but you need to have people that, are going to celebrate with you. And you want to be able there. It's something, especially if you have a big goal, it's a long way to the finish line. And if you only focus on the finish line, it's going to be hard to make it all the way there. You have to be able to celebrate every little win, every little milestone all the way there. And those things stack up and just build your confidence. That's the way you get everything out of it. And you want to be able to you need to have people in your life whether it be your fitness community, your personal trainer, or maybe your workout partner. But if you don't want to only have people in your life that if they don't understand the journey you're on, and when you tell them about your big win, they're going to dismiss it like it's not a big deal, and that's just going to demotivate you and pop some of your balloons. And you don't want to get rid of those people in your life. I'm not saying that. Like if your significant other isn't on board, then that's okay. If they're not on board to begin with, maybe you'll inspire them and they'll be on board later, and they'll be that much more of a powerful journey for both of you. But as you get started, make sure you find those people in your life that are on the same mission as you, and will celebrate those wins with you and pick you up and encourage you and be proud of you. You need those people that you can celebrate with, so you can acknowledge all those little steps you made, whether it be just going to get your first workout in that you didn't want to do, or the first time you make a mistake, because you will. No one's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. That is a myth or something. We are misled that we're not allowed to make mistakes in fitness. It comes back to whether it be New Year's resolutions, teaching us the first time that we make a mistake, we've blown it for the whole year, or that phrase of 21 days to make a habit, where it's making it seem like we got to be perfect for 21 days and then we're going to go on autopilot. And if you do that, then you're probably going to fail on day 24, day 25. It's more about being consistent. I'll tell you, 65 days out of 70 is going to do way better for you than 21 days straight. It's about being consistent. And so when you make a mistake, just know that that's part of the journey. And I know that one of the big words of wisdom that stuck with me that my dad said growing up, that I use in fitness all the time. But whenever I made a mistake in sports or something, he would always tell me it's what you do next that counts. And I think that is so true. That is the truest thing there is. If you make a mistake and you didn't plan ahead, so you go through the drive-through, or you forget your workout bag, so you didn't get your workout in that day, or whatever it is, don't let it ruin the next week. Just get back on track. And next time this obstacle comes up, hopefully you'll defeat it next time. Or if not, then the next time, But just how are you going to get back on track? How are you going to rebound and get back on course? That's how you keep, every time you have those days, it catapults you forward to keep getting stronger for the future.
I love it. Keep getting stronger, and you get to be the measure of that. The other tip that I was thinking of while you were talking is the more things I can figure out to measure, the more successes I get to have. So if the only thing I'm measuring is how much pounds I'm lifting and how many reps I'm doing, or, if that's the only thing I'm measuring, I'm not going to get a lot of wins. But if I'm measuring my inches, if I'm measuring my food intake, if I'm measuring my endurance for the day, what was my energy level today? What was happening? If like I'm looking at more things than just one, I have more wins. So many people only rely on the needle on the scale, and that's what tells them they're healthy or not. I've seen a lot of really thin people be really unhealthy. So it's not the end all piece that says I'm healthy or not. It's just a piece. And so, can you put the towel around you and it wraps all the way around you without a gap? Did you have to adjust your watch? Did you have to buy new clothes? There's so many things that you can measure on a weight loss journey that's not just the needle on the scale. So find those things so that you keep getting to celebrate.
Yeah. The more gauges you can have for improvement is the more the better. You're absolutely right. And we're so good observing things that don't go well. Things that when things don't go well, we're always, when we don't feel good, or when we don't feel strong, or when we have a bad day, we remember everything about that. But we're not really good at acknowledging all the successes. But yeah, just like you said, maybe if you had more energy that day, you got done 5 minutes faster. So clearly you had a much faster pace. You were in a better mood today. I didn't have my afternoon nap that I always feel like I got to have. There's so many little things throughout the day that, you need to be acknowledged of. And also it makes you even that much better of a support team for somebody else, a pit crew for somebody else, a workout partner for someone else, if you can point it out to them. I mean, that's a secret weapon that really can build with your fitness community or your fitness partners that you have. Now, if you start pointing out all the things you notice in them, they're going to give you that in return. And that's a really nice thing to start building with you and with your workout friends.
Tell us how to get a hold of you. A little bit more about your book. I know you touched on it. It was really funny about the time I was going to ask you to bring it up is when you brought it up. I didn't even have to. A little bit more information on making fitness a priority. And then what's one thing we should do this week that can help us move in the direction of taking care of our physical body a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. Thefitnesspivot.com. That's my website. And so it just goes along with saying when plan A no longer fits, how do we pivot to plan B? That is really my strength at this point in my career. I'm really good at helping people figure out how fitness fits in their life after life has changed, whether you be a former athlete who trying to figure out how fitness fits in their life now that it's changed, or whether you've never really even worked out before. And but you want to show up as the best version of yourself to the big life that you started to grow into. I can help you with that. And so, but thefitnesspivot.com, that is the best place to find me. And on there, I have lots of options for personal training for people. So my book series, Make Fitness a Priority, started as one book and then became Priority Fitness, my studio, and a whole community, the Make Fitness a Priority community. So there's actually 3 books now, and one of them is a 6-week workbook that I actually offer as a course. And it's a book that we just republished actually just last year. And so it's much better than it was in 2018 when I first published it. And so but it's a very good way to help people get started. I go through the fitness pivot, on the fitness pivot, I go through a second half strategy call is what I call it. I'm a big sports fan. So there's so many sports analogies you'll find with me. But I think that just fits with life so much. So many lessons we learn from sports kind of count as life too. But the second half strategy call, it's just, fitness no longer fits in your life. And so it's like making halftime adjustments in a game where your plan A didn't work, time to get a new playbook. And I help you do that with the cleanse and reset approach that we kind of went through a little bit in the interview today. And I would say the one step you can take today, and I love the way you phrased it that way, because, another phrase we have in fitness, the heaviest weight in the gym is the front door. It's like the getting started is the hardest part sometimes. And so, and not discounting that at all. It is hard for everybody. And the farther along we are away from the gym, the heavier that door gets. And so I would challenge you to take one non-threatening step today to get started, if that's where you are, if you're ready to open that door, whether it be reach out to a personal trainer, reach out to a friend that you could be your workout buddy, or go to the gym with you. Tell somebody about it that's close to you that is going to be supportive and on that mission with you, and not be dismissive and pop your balloons. That's going to help build you up and help encourage you along the way. And if you need a community, on the fitnesspivot.com, you're welcome to join mine as well. I have lots of on my community. It's easy to find. You can join for free, and there's lots of workouts and tips and content on there, along with speakers, and I do lots of things for free for people to kind of help you with all the things we mentioned today, figuring out how fitness fits in your life and finding your why and how to change your identity into someone who shows up as the best version of themselves, no matter what is going on in their life.
Let's do it. I love that. What is that first step? And you can figure it out and you can make it happen into the direction that's so scary. If you have to drive to the gym 3 times before you actually make it to the door, you're closer than you were before. So keep trying. I love it, Chad. Thank you so much for joining us today. Friend, Chad and I are not licensed medical or mental professionals. We're here for entertainment. People that have found a path that worked for us and would love to help you along your path that works for you. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss the next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.